One of the greatest things about taking off on a motorcycle is that you may have a destination in mind, but you don't always need a plan in place on how to get there. Sometimes you just take off and see where the roads take you, what roads there are to explore. Eventually, you do get to your destination, and you look back on the journey that brought you there, sometimes with a certain degree of joy and a little bit of thrill at some of the roads that maybe you traveled. However, there are also instances where you look back on the journey and you're just thankful that you made it in one piece. It could have been bad roads, rough weather conditions, or a few near misses with inattentive drivers. Life is a lot like this in many regards. We are born, and the ultimate destination is the day that we leave this world. The roads from beginning to end are not well marked sometimes, and we end up on the wrong path. It's how we handle those wrong paths in our lives that determine the final destination we reach in the end. But there are only two possible final destinations: heaven or hell. That's it, and it is truly up to us. Should you surrender your life to Christ, you have come to develop a testimony that you can share with others, to tell of how Jesus has changed your life and put you on the path that leads to an eternity in heaven. This testimony is so very powerful and so very real. While some people may remain skeptical of the words found in the Bible, they cannot dispute the testimony that you share with them because it is your first-hand experience of the grace and mercy of God. Your testimony also reveals to others that they are not alone in their sin and shame. I cannot count the number of times I felt that my personal sin was so great and so unique that there was no possible way anyone could ever have possibly related to me, much less reveal to me that the true depths of God's grace and mercy because of what He did for them with a similar sin. Boy, I was wrong, and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. Our testimony is meant to be shared. It is a powerful evangelistic tool, often the most powerful tool in our arsenal when we share Christ with others. My mouth will tell of your righteous acts, of your deeds of salvation all the day, for their number is past my knowledge. With the mighty deeds of the Lord God I will come. I will remind them of your righteousness, yours alone. Now, I wish I could say that I was a perfect man even now, but I'm not. I have, for the most part, had a good life, but it has been fraught with sin and shame. I have battled lust, emotional affairs, bitter anger, lying, selfishness, among so many others. I have no doubt, though, of the truth of my salvation. I am assured of that because I have repented of these sins in my life and have turned my back on them. Now, it wasn't an instantaneous erasing of these sins in my life. It's a process that we all must undergo when we surrender our lives to Christ. I was convicted of my sins. I recognized the temptations that drew me down the path that led me away from Christ, and I battled them with great intensity. Now, wouldn't it be incredible if we accepted the free gift of salvation by grace through faith, and our lives were immediately made perfect? If that were the case, then this devotion would be very short and much less painful to write. We embark on this journey in a process that is known as our sanctification. And then, one sweet day, we will experience that long-anticipated perfection at the moment of our glorification. But in our time remaining here on earth, we must share what God has done for us. Come and hear, all you who fear God, and I will tell what He has done for my soul. It's not easy. As a matter of fact, I have revealed more now about my past sins and struggles in this devotion than I ever have publicly. I know it gets easier, but it's also necessary that I share this with you because God can and will use any of us to His glory. He called me to the gospel ministry on September 19th, 2021. Now, while many of my sins are deep in my past, I still wage a battle with my anger. I don't know why that is the one that is so persistent, but it is the one that I have the most difficulty with. My anger has done more damage to those around me than any of the other struggles I have faced in my life. My other sins hurt me, but this sin hurts others. However, as I mentioned before, our sanctification is a process, and I'm at a point in my life where I can truly feel victory through Christ alone, emerging in this struggle in my life. My prayer is that the hurt that I have caused those closest to me will be forgiven, and true healing and reconciliation will begin in all of our lives through God's grace. I trust Him. I submit to Him. God has helped me to understand the external and internal stimulants that make this such an issue for me. And through conversations with another pastor, I am winning the battle, and it is so liberating. My shame created such a darkness in my heart that I thought I was unfit to fulfill God's calling in my life, and I was tempted to walk away. However, just this morning, I preached a message about God's calling in our lives and how we are so foolish if we choose to turn our backs on that calling. God knows our hearts better than anyone. He alone knows who we are and who He made us to be. God used David to His glory in a magnificent way. David was a man after God's own heart. But we often forget that David was also an adulterer and a murderer. Imagine what God can do with you if you will just let Him. Share your testimony. Reveal the power of salvation to a lost and dying world. It is a sense of freedom like you have never known. But Peter and John answered them, "Whether it is right in the sight of God to listen to you rather than to God, you must judge. For we cannot but speak of what we have seen and heard." What better witness for Christ than the testimony of a changed life, a saved life? You will still struggle along the way, but God will equip you for the calling He has placed in your life. Of that you can be sure. Try it today. Sit down with someone and share the glory of God through His grace in your own life. And then you will know where you are going, and you will know that the path is the right one, and the destination is one of indescribable splendor. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you.